Welcome back to another episode of Communicate with Nate. Very good. You are so awesome. Guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Nate. I love things related to languages, the English language, and how to learn languages effectively. I also like to go into the history of languages, especially English. But we do talk about other languages as well, time to time. Today, I want to talk about something that is sometimes a pet peeve of mine. And that is when people start talking about language versus dialect. When someone calls a language a dialect, it's kind of like scratching a chalkboard to someone that's studied linguistics. But don't worry, there is some overlapping meaning. There is a lot of misinformation about what a language is versus what a dialect is. So sit back in your chair and get ready as we go on a linguistic adventure. Let's clear up the first misconception, guys. In the subject of language versus dialect, as a layman's term, dialect often is used interchangeably with a language. However, in linguistics, these have separate meanings. Imagine languages as branches on a massive tree, each language being a different branch, and each branch having different smaller branches coming off of them. The language is the branch, the language family is the tree. The dialects are very small twigs, basically, coming off of the branch, which is the language. Now, normally, two dialects of the same language, like British English, or there are many different dialects in Britain, British English, Standard American English, Standard Canadian English, Philippine English, they can all communicate with each other, even though those are different dialects of English. So remember, a dialect is a variation of a language. A man once said, a language is a dialect with an army and a navy. That's because sometimes the difference between a dialect and a language is actually political. So for example, and excuse me if you are from one of these areas, but from the point of view of linguistics, for example, Bosnian, Serbian, and Croatian are three dialects of one single language as opposed to three separate languages, which is more of a political issue. That's my belief, but if you disagree, let me know in the comments so I can understand it. I hear sometimes people using dialects in the context of the Philippines as well. There are languages in the Philippines and there are dialects in the Philippines. It is very good to be educated about this. So a language is like Tagalog, Cebuano, Hiligaynon, or Bicol, Ilocano. Now these languages have dialects. So for example, Tagalog, it's got Batangueño Tagalog, Bataan Tagalog, or Cavite, Manila, Bulacan. Each place is going to have a different dialect or variation of the language of Tagalog, but Tagalog itself is not a dialect. Filipino is also another name for a standardization of the Tagalog language, mixed with a few elements from other languages, but mostly based on Tagalog. Different languages often have very different ways of constructing the grammar. For example, if you compare Ilocano with Tagalog,
nagpintas ni mamang ko, nya. Ilocano kagayam. Kaya pag nagte-travel din ako, yung mga maleta ko, minsan niloloko nila ako kung isang buwan daw ba.
Or if you compare Ilocano with Cebuano, you really won't understand a lot of words. It's extremely different.
So, ti mula ti aldaw tatak dagitoy peace lily ado ti kastoy ni antique idi so dati mo kanyak da.
Maayong buntag mga higala ug maayong pag-abot sa akong istasyon ug karong adlaw aduna ko'y hagit nga pagabuhaton.
However, Cebuano can understand a Boholano person very well. And they might have a little bit different pronunciation and vocabulary difference, but they're going to understand each other very well. That's an example of two dialects of one single language, the Cebuano or Sinugbuanon language, and BINOL-ANON, or from Negros Oriental. It's all the same language, but those are different variations or different dialects of Cebuano. So to answer the question, languages and dialects can sometimes have overlapping meanings, but in general, the way to remember it is exactly. Usually, if you're speaking the same language, means do I understand this person? And if you cannot understand them, you're probably speaking a different language. And a dialect is a variation of a language. It's great talking with you guys about this subject. And what do you guys think? Do you agree with the difference in linguistics between a language and a dialect? Or do you hold the layman's view? Let me know in the comments. Thanks, guys.